So my name is Dr. Kristen Mattson. I'm a high school library media specialist at Waubonsie Valley High School in Naperville, Illinois. And I just finished my dissertation on digital citizenship curriculum for secondary students. So that is sort of my passion area and work that I want to kind of continue to further. And I am with
Megan Davis. I'm co-founder of Go Announce. We're a turnkey digital citizenship program for secondary students currently. We will be expanding to elementary. We have learner profile seen as the LinkedIn for students to start actually applying digital citizenship skills at a younger age. We have curriculum that partners with it and a digital course to certify them in digital citizenship.
That's cool.
Awesome. Relevant.
super
So
cool.
relevant.
Yes.
In this age of one-to-one and that whole good part, and where we are with social media and the whole bit, it's very relevant.
We talk to administrators on a daily basis that are just being so inundated with, the parents coming to them and having issues. And they're providing these awesome devices for the kids in the classroom, which is great. But unfortunately, they're not always equipped with all of the information to teach them how to use it appropriately.
Right. Exactly.
That's where great people like Kristen come into play.
So in my research, I actually took 3 high school curriculum that are recognizable. I think if people did a Google search for curriculum, they'd find some of the ones that I analyzed, and really found that a lot of the curriculum could be applied in a classroom without students ever having to touch a device. And one of my most read blog posts right now is called John Dewey Would Hate Your Digital Citizenship Curriculum. And I talk about the fact that John Dewey really wanted schools to be a community where kids could learn to be citizens inside of the school. And when we think about being a citizen of a digital community, I think John Dewey would really want us to be putting kids into digital communities with adult mentors like ourselves and helping them to develop the skills that they need to be successful members of digital communities when they're older. So the work that Go Announce is doing is creating a space for kids to get into a digital environment, learn those skills with the adult mentor of their teacher, make mistakes in a place that's safe, and get to actually work on the skills and not just hear about what they should do when they are on social media. So it's very cool.
So now, summarize where you guys come into this process.
Well, I don't work for Go Announce. I'm a Go Announce ambassador, but
So tell us, summarize what you can provide for me.
For a school, for example. So we go in with our learner profile, which is partnered with the curriculum and the digital course, because it's one thing to give students this digital portfolio tool that has a social component to it, but the educators need some structure on how to use it, which is why we developed the curriculum resources to bring it in. Not only does it cover digital footprint and the kids actually applying the skills in a very safe environment, we also teach all aspects of digital citizenship, digital literacy, digital security, commerce, cyberbullying as well.
Awesome.
And then we also focus on the parents too, because that needs to start there. So we have a series of video lessons for the parents that the administrators can offer as well.
So you've got the plan, and that's our biggest thing with teachers and integration with anything, whether it was technology or not, is that most teachers like, okay, what do I do? How do I do this? So you guys have already built the plan, and bring it in. And the parent thing is a really big deal that we run into in every educational entity I can think of, from band to the net to cheerleading, you name it. The parents are going to have an opinion, and educating them has always been the hard part.
I had 2 really interesting conversations yesterday. I went to a session. We were talking about formative assessment tools for kids, and one of the people at my table brought up Padlet, which is just a community space where people can put digital Post-it notes and share their ideas. And the gentleman sitting next to me said, I tried that with my high schoolers once. They couldn't handle it. They put all sorts of appropriate stuff on the Padlet. I just took it away. And we had some really interesting conversations because I said, wow, you're really missing an opportunity. Because when your kids in a year or 2 go off to college and they're expected to participate in some sort of academic discussion board, they would have had you as their guide in high school to teach them how to act and behave in those situations. So we have a lot of teachers who I think are fearful to put themselves out there and set an example and work with kids to create norms, and rather than being that role model, resort to just kind of taking it away, taking that opportunity away, which is hard.
that's one of the things. One of our good friends, his name's Kevin Honeycutt. We talk about him a lot.
Yeah, we love Kevin here as well.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, he's I've known Kevin for a long time. But anyway, one of the things that he talks about is the digital playground, and just because the slide is broken, you don't shut down the whole playground.
Correct.
You teach kids not to go on the slide so they don't get hurt. Do kids still go on the slide and get hurt in
Sometimes.
a regular playground? Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
And that's when you pick them up and you dust them off and you say, okay, look, you screwed up over here, but here's how you screwed up. Here's what went wrong, and here's how to not do that again. And then if they keep going back to the slide despite repeated issues or whatever, there warnings and discussions.
Yes.
Then at some point, at that point, you say, okay, look, you're not going to be able to play in this playground this way.
Yeah.
Or you may not be allowed to play in the playground at all for a while until
But I think it's also important too that we're addressing those individual students as individuals, and that we aren't setting our education policies and practices around the fear that those 3% might screw up.
Right. Well, and I think that's one of the things that is so important when you're working in an environment where you're teaching the students how to be digital citizens, appropriate digital citizens, and making those mistakes and having them make those mistakes and learning from those lessons and working with them individually. I don't know about your experience, but many of us have had the experience where one person in a classroom or one person in the organization is doing this particular thing inappropriately or wrong or whatever. And what do we get? We get the whole
mass email.
No one should be, no one else is. And the funny thing is, we all know who
it is.
Just go address that issue with that person. So one of the things I wanted to ask though was, in your environment, what is I have a feeling I know what the answer is going to be, but what's generally speaking, what's your target age range for rolling this out?
Right now, we're starting at 6th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, we are developing an elementary version of what we've developed for 6 to 12, because that's the next thing administrators always ask us is, what about our elementary kids? Sure. With the tool, we're taking out a lot of the social sharing, and it's just going to be about them learning how to post, learning what's an appropriate profile photo and types of things in the curriculum like that. But with the 6 to 12, there is a social component where they're learning. It's one thing to tell kids, like, this is who you should be communicating with on social media, but how are you doing that? And so on our tool, we teach them, their teacher becomes their first follower, then their parent or guardian. Then they have, a lesson where they're thinking about, okay, who else did you invite? Did you have a previous teacher or a coach or maybe a relative that's always asking you, how are you doing in school? Let's invite them to follow you here. It's a completely safe platform as well. There's no private messaging on it that can occur. We also have a banning system that if students try to post inappropriate words, profanity, or slang terms or phrases, it's blocked. It just tells them this is not allowed on your digital footprint and this is why. So it's explaining to them why.
Helping them build their brand.
Well,
exactly.
To me, I think 6th grade is that perfect age.
I think so.
Especially for starting out. I mean, again, this is my personal perspective. Elementary is great, and yes, the earlier you can start educating them, then the better it's going to be down the road. But in 6th grade, that's when they're starting, at least
on social media.
Theoretically, that's when they're starting on social media, right? So by introducing them to the things that they need to know and help them understand, hopefully that carries on as they continue to go. So one of the things, kind of a follow-up, you're talking about the people that did you invite so-and-so to? Do you get into the discussion of the people who inject themselves in? You have somebody who wants to be your friend, and you have no mutual connections, or it says you have one, but really you're not even sure about the one. Are those some of the things you cover as well? Yeah,
and we have different levels of privacy and security that doesn't allow just for immediate followers like that. But we do bring in a lot of those real life examples when we're teaching the kids in the curriculum. It's not really just about preaching at them. No, don't use this, hide this. It's really about empowering them. And we use that quote from Kevin regarding in our demo. He's given us permission, but we do a demo for an administrator. We use that quote about that being, our kids are on this digital playground and no one is on recess duty. But Kevin really does believe that with this tool, it really, for the first time, you're empowering them on social media and allowing them to play on the digital playground like you were talking about.
Well, and what I like too is the fact that by high school, we really should be teaching our kids some networking skills.
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of the curriculum I reviewed still really defaults to don't friend people you don't know. Don't talk to strangers. Don't get in
Right.
strangers' cars, and then you go outside and you jump in an Uber. Right?
That is great.
Right?
Yeah.
Get in a stranger's
That's
car and
true.
don't talk to strangers on the
Right.
internet.
Right.
But I'll get
But
my
then-
Uber.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a big difference when we have those conversations, especially with our 17 and 18-year-old kids who are looking to get into college.
Yep.
They're looking to start making connections with internships and job opportunities. There is a huge world out there that they can take advantage of if they know how to make those connections with intention. But the conversation of don't talk to strangers
Yeah.
doesn't help our kids get there.
Yeah.
And learning how to promote themselves and market themselves is so important.
branding is
How are
so
they really
important
doing
now.
that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a senior in college and I have a junior in high school. And both of my girls are excellent academic. They get that from their mom. But my oldest has realized pretty quickly how to brand herself and
That's
do her
awesome.
thing. But that's, I don't know if it was maybe the household she grew up in, but she
Right.
But that's it wasn't there in school.
Correct.
It wasn't every day. It was
It's
just
still
something
not.
that
I
you
think
picked
for
up.
my
You're
own
right.
children, my own kids are in elementary school and they still come home very excited about the fact that they had computer lab that day. It's still a field trip
Right.
Yeah.
to my
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
and that is scary. It's frustrating, but so many of our policies, even with teachers don't friend your kids on social media. Teachers don't interact with parents in these spaces, and so we've essentially created a mentorship gap for our students.
Yeah.
We've created that.
You're
Created
exactly
that
right.
gap.
You're exactly right.
So whether it is Go Announce or whether it is a Google Classroom or whether it's a Padlet, whatever, if we
Right.
can get our kids in these digital community spaces together with teachers and allow them to practice the skills in a safe place, I really think that's where our digital citizenship curriculum needs to take a turn.
Yeah.
I can tell you
Absolutely.
a great story. We our primary levels use iPads and Chromebooks. We're a full Google school, and what the actual second, and third, and fourth graders have done is they've created shared documents that they run texting through.
Yeah.
That the teachers don't
Yes.
realize are even there, and they're smart enough to create them by the date,
Yeah.
and so they share it with their friends, and they're all chatting away
Right.
right there, and it was oblivious to our faculty until one of my network administrators found it and said, "Hey, what do we do about this?" And I was like, we're monitoring it for profanity and stuff like that. It all looks just like, hey, what are you going to do for
Yeah.
lunch? And
Same kind of
blah,
notes I
blah,
wrote on
blah.
paper and
Yes.
passed to my boyfriend during the experience.
And so I was like, I'm not big into censorship, so I'm
Right.
like, yeah, let them roll with it
Right.
a while until we,
Yeah.
this gets out of hand. But
Right.
you guys are now providing us the opportunity to fix that whole.
Well, and I think
Yeah.
the other important message for me, especially as kids are older, is really empowering them to think about themselves as part of a digital community. Right now, it's a lot of adults telling kids what the norms should be. So when you are online, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do that. And then a kid goes into a digital space, sees that those norms are different there. Are we
Right.
empowering them to consider what are the norms in this space and do I want to be a part of it?
Right.
And if I don't, it's okay for me to not be.
To be, exactly.
And are we empowering kids with the skills to be able to challenge the norms, modify the norms, work with their peers to set norms? Because
Yeah.
honestly, they're always going to be in different digital spaces that have different expectations. And part of that is them just being observant and deciding if they want to be a part of that community. Same way we do in physical spaces.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's awesome. That's
All
awesome.
good stuff.
Okay, so we like to do the 45-second elevator pitch.
Oh, that's right.
So
You're in an
45
elevator.
seconds, you get an elevator.
Yeah.
You've got to impress whoever's in there.
I know that. Oh, okay, so I get to do it.
Yes, you're in the elevator, right? And so your hero, the person you look up to, walks in the elevator, and they go, "Hey, who are you? What do you do? 45 seconds, real quick, on the elevator."
Hey, Kristen, you go first.
I have to go first? Oh my gosh. Digital citizenship is not about rules and regulations. Digital citizenship is about people in global communities working together to make our world a better place. And in order for us to do that, we need to give kids time, space, and support to be able to truly practice those skills. There you go. That was less than 45
I
seconds.
know.
She's like,
And
give
with
me a
Going
round.
Outs, we're really giving them the place to be able to do exactly that, practice those skills in a safe environment, learning how to use social media in a way that is empowering them and allowing them to reach higher opportunities, because I think that kids are really missing out on that. Yes, they're using social media and they're not going to stop using social media. That's no secret. But how can we teach them you can leverage your accomplishments, you can leverage your achievements in a way that's really going to benefit you to reach higher opportunities? And here's the place to do that. You're still going to use your Instagram, you're still going to use your Snapchat and your Pinterest. Let's teach you how to use it effectively and brand yourself there too, because you can, and reach higher opportunities